If you're looking to improve your Spanish, then starting with some simple verbs is a great place to begin. In this video, I'm going to take you through 10 verbs in the present tense, along with an example sentence to help you out with your understanding. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking to improve your vocabulary in Spanish, this video is going to help you with your confidence. By the end of this video, you'll have a basic understanding of 10 verbs that will help you sound more fluent. And don't forget that this video is a complement to my Simply Spanish course that I have here on this YouTube channel that you can check out for free. It turns complete beginners like yourselves into fluent speakers from the very first lesson. So I encourage you to go and check it out. So let's get underway with the video. The first verb that we're going to look at today is the verb ser in Spanish, ser. And ser means to be in Spanish, ser. So now let's look at this verb conjugated, okay? So, I am, yo soy, yo soy, yo soy. You are, tú eres, tú eres, tú eres. He or she is, él es, or ella es, ella es. We are, nosotros somos, nosotros somos. Or a group of women would be nosotras somos, nosotras somos. This one, you all, is the plural word for you in Spanish, and this one is only used in Spain. It's not used in South America. So to say you all are, it's vosotros sois, vosotros sois. Or a group, if we're addressing a group of women, it would be vosotras sois, vosotras sois. And then they are is ellos son, ellos son. Or if it's a group of women, it would be ellas son, ellas son. Now, as we go through these conjugated forms of the verbs, I'm not going to say the pronouns, the yo, the tú, the él, ella, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, because in Spanish we don't need to use the pronouns when we're speaking. The information about who is performing the action is contained within the conjugated verb, and that's why it always changes. It changes depending on the person. You can see that they're all different. Okay, so it's not necessary to say the pronoun when we're speaking Spanish. So here's an example sentence for you. I am a Spanish teacher. I am a Spanish teacher. Yo soy profesor de español. Yo soy profesor de español. Now, as I just said, it's not necessary to use the word yo for I, because the information I is contained within the conjugated verb here in soy. So, in natural Spanish speech, it would be soy profesor de español. Soy profesor de español. I am a Spanish teacher. Soy profesor de español. Okay, let's go and check out another verb then. Okay, now we're going to look at another verb, and that verb is estar, estar. And estar in Spanish also means to be. There are two verbs for to be in Spanish. Now this one is used to tell people how you're feeling or where you're located, okay? The other one, the ser, is used for characteristics about a person, but this one is used to explain where you are or how you feel. So let's look at the conjugated forms. So I am, estoy, estoy. You are, estás, estás. He or she is, está, está. We are, estamos, estamos. Spanish version for you plural, you all are, estáis, estáis. They are, están. I forgot to put the accent mark. There we go. Están, están. They are, están. Now let's look at some example sentences. So, she is in the office. She is in the office. Ella está en la oficina. Ella está en la oficina. Ella está en la oficina. Now, unless we wanted to specify that it's she, not he, is in the office, we don't need to use the pronoun she. So in natural Spanish speech, we would say está en la oficina. Está en la oficina. Okay, so now let's check out another verb. Okay, so now we're going to look at the verb tener, which means to have, tener, tener, to have, tener. Now let's look at the conjugated forms. So, I have, tengo, tengo, tengo. You have, tienes, tienes, tienes. He or she has, tiene, tiene, tiene. We have, tenemos, tenemos, tenemos. You plural have, tenéis, tenéis, tenéis. They have, tienen, tienen, tienen. Now let's look at some examples, one example sentence. So you have many friends. Tú tienes muchos amigos. Tú tienes muchos amigos. Now we don't need the pronoun, so we can take off the word tú. We can take out the pronoun tú. So naturally in Spanish speech, it would just be tienes muchos amigos. Tienes muchos amigos. Tienes muchos amigos. Okay, so now let's look at another verb. Okay, so now we're going to look at the verb to do or to make. To do or to make. Now in Spanish, that's just the one verb, and it's hacer, hacer, hacer. Now let's look at the conjugated forms. So I do or I make, hago, hago, hago. You do or you make, haces, haces, haces. He or she does or he or she makes, hace, hace, hace. We do or we make, hacemos, hacemos, hacemos. You plural do or you plural make, hacéis, hacéis, hacéis. They make or they do, hacen, hacen, hacen. Now let's look at an example sentence. So, they make a lot of noise. Ellos hacen mucho ruido. Ellos hacen mucho ruido. Ellos hacen mucho ruido. Now, we don't need the pronoun ellos for they, so we can just say in natural Spanish, hacen mucho ruido. Hacen mucho ruido. Hacen mucho ruido. Okay, so now let's look at another verb. Okay, so the next verb that we're going to look at is the verb for to go. And to go in Spanish is ir, ir. Now let's look at the conjugated forms. So I go, voy, voy, voy. You go, vas, vas, vas. He or she goes, va, va, va. We go, vamos, vamos, vamos. You plural go, vais, vais, vais. They go, van, van, van. Now let's look at an example sentence. So they go to school. Ellas van a la escuela. Ellas van a la escuela. Ellas van a la escuela. Now we don't need the plural, we don't need the word for they in Spanish, the pronoun they. So we can take off ellas and we get in natural Spanish speech, it would just be van a la escuela. Van a la escuela. Van a la escuela. Okay, so now let's look at another verb. Now the next verb that we're going to look at is the verb for to want. And to want in Spanish is querer, querer, querer. Now let's look at the conjugated forms. So, I want, quiero, quiero, quiero. You want, quieres, quieres, quieres. He or she wants, quiere, quiere, quiere. We want, queremos, queremos, queremos. You plural want, queréis, queréis, queréis. They want, quieren, quieren, quieren. Okay, so now let's look at an example sentence. So we've got, we want to watch a movie. We want to watch a movie. And in Spanish, that's nosotros queremos ver una película. Nosotros queremos ver una película. Now we don't need the pronoun nosotros for we, so we can drop that in natural Spanish speech. So naturally, the sentence would normally read in natural Spanish speech, queremos ver una película. Queremos ver una película. Queremos ver una película. Okay, so let's now look at another verb in Spanish. Okay, so the next verb that we're going to learn is the verb for to be able to, or can, just the word can, okay? And that verb in Spanish is poder, poder, poder. Now let's look at it in the conjugated forms. So, I'm able to or I can. Puedo, puedo, puedo. You're able to or you can. Puedes, puedes, puedes. He's able to or he can. Puede, puede, puede. We're able to or we can. Podemos, podemos, podemos. You plural are able to or you plural can. Podéis, podéis, podéis. They can or they're able to. Pueden, pueden, pueden. Now let's look at an example sentence. So, I can help you with that. I can help you with that. And in Spanish that would be yo puedo ayudarte con eso. Yo puedo ayudarte con eso. Now, as always, we don't need the pronoun in there, so we can drop the word yo. So in natural Spanish speech, it would be puedo ayudarte con eso. Puedo ayudarte con eso. Okay, let's look at another verb. Okay, so the next verb is the verb for to tell or to say. And in Spanish, that's decir, decir, decir. Now let's look at the conjugated forms. So I say or I tell is digo, digo, digo. You say or you tell, dices, dices, dices. He or she says or he or she tells, dice, dice, dice. We say or we tell, decimos, decimos, decimos. You plural say or you plural tell, decís, decís, decís. They say or they tell, dicen, dicen, dicen. Now let's look at some one example sentence. So, you say a lot of interesting things. In Spanish that would be, tú dices muchas cosas interesantes. Tú dices muchas cosas interesantes. Now we can drop the pronoun tú, and in natural Spanish speech it would be dices muchas cosas interesantes. Dices muchas cosas interesantes. Okay, so now let's look at another verb. Now the next verb that we're going to see is the verb for to see or to watch, depending on context. And that verb in Spanish is ver, ver, ver. Now let's look at the conjugated forms. So, I see or I watch, veo, veo, veo. You see or you watch, ves, ves, ves. He or she sees or he or she watches, ve, ve, ve. We watch or we see, vemos, vemos, vemos. You plural watch or you plural see, veis, veis, veis. They see or they watch, ven, ven, ven. Okay, now let's look at an example sentence. Okay, so we have I watch television. And in Spanish, that's yo veo la televisión. Yo veo la televisión. Now, as always, we can drop the pronoun I. So we can drop the yo from the sentence. So in natural Spanish speech, it would be veo la televisión. Veo la televisión. Veo la televisión. Okay, so now let's look at the final verb. Okay, so the last verb that we're going to look at is the verb for to give. And in Spanish, that's dar, dar, dar. Now let's look at the conjugated forms. So I give, doy, doy, doy. You give, das, das, das. He or she gives, da, da, da. We give, damos, damos, damos. You plural give, dais, dais, dais. And finally, they give, dan, dan, dan. Okay, so now let's look at the final example sentence. Okay, so to say you give good advice in Spanish, you give good advice, it's tú das buenos consejos. Tú das buenos consejos. Now, as always, we can drop the pronoun tú from the sentence. So we get das buenos consejos. Das buenos consejos. Okay, so well done. I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, make sure to check out my free Spanish course that I have here on this YouTube channel. The course will turn complete beginners like yourselves into fluent speakers from the very first lesson. So I'll put a link here so that you can check out the course right now. There's also a link down in the description, but hopefully I'll see you there. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.